Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you three different methods on how to achieve a balloon skirt. Now the reason for this method is to enable you to achieve your balloon skirt with the available fabrics that you have. Now in this first method, we're going to be using our hip measurement and our skirt length. So the hip measurement for this balloon skirt is 25 and the length is 12 inches. Now while making this balloon skirt, note that your lining should be 3 inches shorter than the fabric. So if the length of your skirt is 12 inches, your lining should be like 9 inches. Now to cut out the first part of this balloon skirt is our lining. So what we're going to do is to use our hip measurement plus 10 inches. That is going to be the width of our lining and the length is going to be 10 inches. Now for the material, the total number we got for our lining times 3 is what is going to be the width of our main fabric, and the length is going to be 13 inches. That's 12 inches plus 1 inch sewing allowance. So after this, the next thing we are going to do is to get our main fabric and run a straight line on one side of the fabric, and we're going to gather it just like they do gathers. Then after that, you're going to be placing your lining on top of it and gather it so that it can fit in to the lining that we have, just as you're seeing on the screen. Now after this, I'm going to take it to my machine and I will sew it together. So guys, this is what it looks like after joining one side of this bubble skirt. So you can see that the stitching and the gathering, it's so nice. So take your time and gather it very well. So next thing we're going to do is to gather the other side of our material, and we're going to join it to the lining. The same thing we did previously, we're going to repeat it again to the other side. Also, when gathering your skirt, endeavor to gather the both sides so that your thread doesn't cut. When you gather the right, you also go to the left to gather it. So next thing we're going to do is to join the upper part of our fabric to our lining. Then I'm going to use pin and pin it all around. Guys, pinning is very important when it comes to sewing. If there is something you cannot sew straight, if there is something that is giving you troubles, please endeavor to use your pin. It is very, very important. It's going to make work less stressful for you. Yes, I'm telling you. So next, after this, we're going to arrange our main fabric, and then we'll let it fit into the lining. So after this, guys, I'm going to take it back to my machine and I'm going to sew the upper part of the skirt. So I went ahead to close the side of my balloon skirt, leaving the hip measurement because we're going to be adding our waistband and also our elastic band. So you can, guys, the reason for the extra 10 inches added to the hip measurement is to have space at the down part of your skirt. So you can use 10 inches if you want it to be wider. You can add maybe 15 inches depending on your choice. But I was very fine with this 10 inches because it fits perfectly on my baby's body. So guys, I already added my waistband. So next what we're going to do is to add our elastic band. At this point, you can see that our skirt is ready to be worn, looking so beautiful. When adding your elastic to your waistband, secure both ends with a pin so that by the time you put the other pin into the waistband, the other side will be secured. I don't know if you get what I mean. So after this, I'm going to take take the skirt to my machine and tack the elastics together. Guys, see how beautiful our skirt is looking. So I'm going to tack the elastic together, and that will be the end of the skirt. I am also going to close up the allowance where the elastic were joined together. So guys, this is the end of the method one of our balloon skirt. I made this skirt for my daughter, and when I asked her to wear it, she refused removing it. I had to let her be. So at the end of this video, I'm going to show you how she rocked this balloon skirt. So the sewing method of this skirt applies to every other skirt. The difference is the cotton. Also, if you want to add an elastic to your balloon skirt, you have to gather the waist to your hip measurement, then add your elastic. Then if you just want the waistband, you just have to measure your waist plus 2 inches for zip allowance, and that is it. So next, we are moving to the second method of the balloon skirt. Now this method is a circular method, that's what I call it. In this skirt, we also have two parts, which is the lining and the main fabric. Now for the lining, we are going to be dividing the hip measurement by 1.57 to get our lining circumference. Now for the main material, we're going to divide our hip measurement by 6.28 plus 10 inches. Yes, the reason for this extra 10 inches is to have enough gathers for this skirt. Now, if you do just your hip measurement divided by 6.28, you're not going to have enough fabric to gather around. Now, this is how it goes. Our hip measurement divided by 1.57, we are going to be folding our material into two just like this. So when you divide your hips measurement by 1.57, you're going to have like 15.9, that's approximately 16 inches. So just like that, you're going to measure 16 inches downwards all round. Then after that, you're going to measure the length of your lining, which is 9 inches plus 1 inch sewing allowance, which is 10 inches, and we are going to take our scissors and cut just like this. I hope you understand what we did here. So I'm going to cut this out and then label it lining so that you don't get confused. This is our lining. So for the main fabric, you're going to be folding your material into 4, then divide your hip measurement by 6.28 plus 10 inches. So this is what you're going to calculate for the main body of the circular skirt. Now we're going to mark whatever we'll get from the start point of this sharp edge down to the exact measurement we got. So when I did mine, I had around 10 inches. So when you do your hip measurement divided by 6.28, you're going to have 3 point something, which is very small, and by the time you gather it on the lining, it's not going to be full and it's not even going to be enough. So that's why I added 10 inches to it to have a wider waist so you can gather it and it to be full. So after that, you're going to mark the length of your skirt, which is 12 inches plus 1 inch sewing allowance, which is 13 inches. And then you're going to take your scissors and cut it out just like this. Sorry guys that my circle is not straight, but when measuring on your fabric, do well by using your tape so that you don't have a shape like this. Now this is how this circular skirt is going to work. You're also going to gather the main fabric so that it will suit the lining, just as we did in the previous one. Now, like I said earlier, the difference is just the cotton. So it's the same sewing method. Now I got the pieces of fabric and I had to cut it to show you what it looks like. This is the lining and this is how the fabric will be. So you're going to cut it open so that it can enable you to gather the down part of the fabric and attach it to the other part, just as you're seeing on the screen. Now guys, for the method 3, I call this one circular and straight because we're going to be cutting our lining just exactly as we did in the previous method. So we're going to divide our hip measurement by 1.57 and we're going to mark it out and also add 1 inch for sewing allowance. So this is for the lining. Now for the main fabric, we are going to get our lining and get our tape and measure whatever we have at the down part, just as you're seeing on the screen. We're going to measure it all round. So this is 4 inches. By the time you open it is 8 inches. So 8 times 3, yes, 8 times 3 is what we are going to cut for the main fabric on this method 3, but we are not going to cut it in a circular form. We are going to cut it on a straight form, just like the first one. So we are going to be cutting uh, 8 times 3. So whatever you get, whatever it's your measurement on your skirt, that is what you're going to use. You can use 2.5 if you don't have much fabric, but 3 inches is enough. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to remove one of this paper and then use one to show you example. So by the time you open it, you're also going to gather, run your gather stitch on one side of the main fabric and let it sit in to the lining, just like we did on our method 1. Sewing method is the same thing. The only difference, like I said, is the cutting method. Guys, I hope you understand what I did here. Please, if you're confused at any form, please do well to go through the video over and over again. This is a method I had to show you guys to make bubble or your balloon skirt easy for you to make, and also showing you how you can manage your fabric in order to achieve a balloon skirt. So guys, this is the finished look of our balloon stroke bubble skirt. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching and see you on next time. Bye guys.